looks like it might have had a trailer hitch at some point. Wouldn't that have been a sight to see? So you can see all the undercoating that's actually sprayed up in here, and just a little bit of surface rust, nothing too crazy. So that's good. Just looking in here, no surface rust in most cases, like all up in here. Fuel filter area looks okay. Go here, see, check out the floor area. So not 100% sure on that welding job. Might have to clean those up a little bit. Key thing is that it does have subframe connectors. So I think here, you know, things are a little pokey, but it seems pretty solid. So I think it's just a matter of cleaning stuff up. And this H-pipe is like brand new. I don't know what mufflers those are. I don't know if that could all be factory. If it is, it's pretty clean looking. I know there was an off-road H-pipe on this car at one point, so clearly somebody's taken that off, put stock back on. So get all this cleaned up. Lower part of the rad support actually isn't too bad. Sometimes these get smucked up pretty good. Oh, the old block heater cord. Must have been for that winter driving. There we are, overall pretty clean under here. I'm happy with it. These subframe connectors are unique, but they should do the trick. Oh, this is interesting. I think this is that brake line that my friend Jordan was telling me about that got replaced and they left the old one intact. So we will get rid of that. Alright guys, looks like we have a brand new O2 sensor in here, so I'm not going to complain about that. Already got that started, so it's loose. I got to get this O2 sensor out so that I can actually get access to that bolt. Yeah, gotta love new parts. So everything on the underside of the car is disconnected. We've drained the radiator, put a cap on there just so that, you know, any little bit of coolant won't continue beneath. The motor mounts are loosened off, so we just did the single nuts on either side, which makes things a little bit easier instead of trying to get the two separate bolts that go into the block. We have our tranny lines disconnected and dangling here, which were connected there. We've got our crossmember bolts loosened off and everything is ready to pull out there. The drive shaft's been removed and all of the exhaust, which we did earlier. The speedo cable is unplugged and we just put the unit back into the housing here. Just makes, you know, covers up the hole so that way it's not exposed. Got all of the electronics disconnected. The shifter linkage is gone and pulled out, which ran up through this area in here. More linkage assembly. So other than that, everything's pretty much good to go under here. One interesting thing that I did notice is that the brake and fuel lines have been rerun and the old ones are actually still sitting here chopped off, so I assume that they might have been corroded and somebody decided to run some new stuff up in here and they sprayed the living hell out of them with some oil. So that's all gonna have to get cleaned up. So there's gonna be a lot of elbow grease going on underneath here, guys, to get this floor all cleaned up and painted nice and black, but it should be worth it in the end. Actually going to loosen the transmission and drop it out from underneath the car. We do have a tranny jack here, the joys of being in a place with a lift. So, you know, if you were in a driveway, this is probably something that you rather just pull the engine and the transmission out together. In this case, just to kind of try and simplify life. So you can see I actually have 3/8 drive all the way here with some extensions running all the way up to the bolts. So far the first two have cracked off. Kevin's going to try and get the starter off, and hopefully we can drop this tranny, and then that'll make pulling the motor a breeze. Morning here, lovely day, got lemon drops sitting behind me, got some WD-40 in a squirt bottle, dirty rag, a couple other little tools, because I'm going to start playing in this engine bay, getting things cleaned up to really assess what's going on in terms of the corrosion and what all is going to need to be done to get this engine bay cleaned up and looking like new again. So if we just go in here, you can kind of see behind me down in that strut tower area where a lot of that corrosion is. So I already actually broke the bolt that holds that proportioning valve on because it was all rusted on the inside. So gonna get down in there, remove some of the wiring, again just get a lot of things cleaned up and ready and prepped so that we can assess and see how much cutting, welding, sandblasting, all that type of stuff that needs to be done, and also just get things looking a little bit better in here. Here we are, guys. So you can see sort of started cleaning up in here. You can see all of this sand and debris that the car's been holding here in the strut tower, and you can get a better idea of the corrosion now that I've cleaned some stuff up a little bit. So gonna be curious to see how solid everything is down on the bottom side of this frame rail. I think it is fairly solid. Again, just from the inspection down in here, this is pretty strong. So I just want to make sure that what's on this other side down in here, we're gonna have to pull this inner fender out and get access to everything in there, but hopefully things will clean up okay. You can see I've taken off a little bit more wiring just to get more access to things, and yeah, the AC is still connected just because it has its original R12 in there, and it hasn't been converted to 134, and the system actually works. So if I can keep it charged, I will. That, and we just didn't want to put the R12 into the current machine and mix everything up. I've been using just some trusty WD-40 to spray stuff down, try and loosen up some of the grime and the undercoating that was naturally on the car, and then after that I'll just kind of wipe everything down with a Scotch pad. It's a messy job, guys, not gonna lie, but then after that can just rinse everything off with some brake clean, and things should look pretty clean and tidy when it's done. So I'm just actually gonna go get an airline, put on some safety glasses, and try and blow as much of this debris out of there. I'm not sure where all the sand and the dirt came from. I'm assuming maybe from the sand on the roads during the winter time, and somehow it was just catching the sand up in there, which probably had a little bit of salt as well, and that's what caused the rust to occur in this area. But the frame rail itself, guys, is quite solid. It looks like the repair is just going to be up in the strut tower area. how nice and yellow it is under here. I spent probably a better part of an hour and a half since I started degreasing and cleaning some stuff up in here. I've also gone ahead and started taking out some of the wiring harnesses. I got all the airbag sensors off, got the headlight harness out, which clips into the main firewall over there. Had to get up underneath the inner fender area to disconnect the horn and also the windshield washer tank. And now I'm actually just going to crawl into the passenger side kick panel, undo the main ECU so that we can pull this main engine harness out, so that way we can have as little left in this engine bay as possible for when we go to blast. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of stuff sitting in here on the passenger side floorboard. I've disconnected all of these connectors right here that are hidden underneath the kick panel. So just push all of these wires out of the way, and yeah, we can actually see our main ECUs hiding in there, and got this 9/32 socket, which I believe is the right size, which it is. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out. My apologies guys, it's a tight squeeze in here. There's a piece of sound deadening up in here that needs to get pulled out as well. A little Christmas tree clip that goes right here that's actually hidden behind the dash, so just be mindful of that. It does come out quite easy, as you just saw. So there's one big bolt on the underside which holds the harness to the computer. And that's held on by a 10mm bolt. Alright, once you pull that away, you should be able to sneak your DME out, just like that. There we go, so now we can actually poke at getting this grommet out. Alright. There's these stragglers that, these three here, you want to make sure you get these out before you try and pull the main connector that goes onto the back of that computer, otherwise you're not going to get this guy out. So it's important that you get these through first. And there you have it. So there you have it. We got all the main harnesses out of the car, short of the one that goes on the driver's side firewall area here. That one might end up just getting masked off once we get the booster and everything off. Remember, we are going to be doing a 5-speed swap, so chances are I will pull the dash out just to make my life easier, to get the pedals and everything else in there. But yeah, a lot of the wiring's out, some of the brake lines are still there. Again, the AC is still connected. But it's definitely cleaned up a lot of things and will give us a lot more room to work with. Once we get those inner fenders out, get that washer bottle out of there, and then we can actually start getting the fender extensions off, because we won't be using those when we mount the detch kit on, and continue getting stuff cleaned up and ready to carry on with this project.